All right, let's zoom out. So this is a purchase and sale agreement for vacant land. Like I said, you can use this in any state, and I'm going to show you guys how you can fill it out. So let's just go ahead and read through the whole thing, and then you guys can go from there. Now I'm going to just fill it out as I go, just to give you guys an example. Oops, close. And then we'll go. Okay, so this is Adobe Acrobat, for anybody who's wondering. Adobe Acrobat allows you to edit any PDF document. It's like $15 a month, I believe. And then in the fill and sign feature, you can go ahead and fill out any part of the contract. Okay, so you should download a blank one, obviously. And then in here, let's go ahead and just read through. So this vacant land contract is made and entered into on this date. So we're going to go ahead and put the date. Today is 12/23/22. And you can put the full date, or you can just put it like this in this format. And then you would put your LLC there because you're the buyer. Okay, so the buyer's name goes here, which is you for the seller side. And then the seller's name goes here. So remember, if you don't have an LLC, you can put your name, but ideally you want to have your full, you want to have an LLC, right? Or a company formation. Okay, so I went ahead and put Larock Capital Group LLC for me. And then my seller, we're going to just do Mary Johnson, just as an example. Okay, and that's the seller's name. And then the property address, we'll go ahead and put here. So 123 Main Street. Hello, Florida, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you put the address here. Make sure it's on the lines, guys. I don't want to see it like right here or anything. I want to see it right on the lines, nice and crispy and clean. And then the purchase price will go right here. So let's just say you're buying it or you're assigning it, right? You're buying the property for $50,000. You want to put that on this line right here. And the amount of shall apply as part of the required earnest money deposit, which is obviously your escrow, right? Your EMD. So you will go ahead and deposit however much you're comfortable with. Typically, builders like to put $500 for the EMD deposit. So that's what I like to put on this line. And then where is it going to be held at? Is this going to be held at a title company? I hope so, right? So we'll just put First American Title as an example, right? So it'll be held at this title company. And then remember, when it comes to your purchase and sale agreement, you're going to take the number of how much you're going to purchase it for minus how much your escrow deposit's going to be, which is 100. Oops. Hold on, let me make sure everybody's muted. There we go. Sorry, guys, I can't see the screen at the same time. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and put the balance. So 50,000 minus 500 is 49,500. Okay, I like to put the cents. I'm like very OCD with that. Just like to be very clean and clear with the numbers. And then for financing, the buyer is going to pay cash in full at the time of closing. All right, and then the closing. So the closing is going to take place on or before. Then you'll put the date. So for me personally, I don't like to put an exact date. Now you can do that if you feel comfortable, but for me, I like to put like on or before 30 days of signing this agreement, or 45 days or 60 days of signing this agreement. I don't like to put an exact date, so I'm not held like liable or accountable for closing on that exact date, just in case the seller takes a few days to sign the agreement. Make sense? Okay, so I'm going to just say on or before 45 days of signing. Okay, so I'll just put that here. And I think the thing I like about Adobe Acrobat is you can make the font smaller, you can make it bigger. So if you want to even squeeze in signing the agreement, you can squeeze that on there. Okay. Okay, and then on or before 45 days at signing the agreement, and then you're going to just reiterate the title company's name. So First American Title. So I had a CPA, a real estate attorney look over this agreement. They're the ones that helped draft this and edit this. So if anybody ever asks you, like a builder or buyer, just if they happen to question where you got this agreement from, you can always just say, I had my attorney draft it up. Okay. Because it is true. I had an attorney draft this up or help draft this up. At the closing, the buyer shall pay the full purchase price in full, and the seller shall transfer free and clear marketable title to buyer. The escrow's agent's name, you can just put Susan, I don't know, Johnson again. I don't know, I'm gonna do Johnson. I don't know, Richards. I'm just thinking about names at this point. Okay, so escrow agent's name and the number. One. Okay, just putting random numbers. Address 123 Main Street. Okay, this will be the title company's address, obviously. Just change it from the first one. Okay, so representations and warranties. So this is just making sure that the seller is going to provide free and clear marketable title to buyer, and that the property is going to be free of any liens and encumbrances, and that this property is ready to go to produce a warranty deed, okay, which is what we need for the builder. Here's some default terms here, where if just in case that the seller or buyer fails to perform any of its obligations under this contract, the non-breaching party shall have the right to terminate this contract and seek any remedies under or available under law. This is also reiterating that the buyer's earnest money deposit is non-refundable, and that if the seller were to default, all the earnest money deposits will be returned to the buyer. So what does this mean? Let's just say that the property ends up having some type of endangered species, right? So, and the buyer can't, pursue building on the property anymore because of that. Because of this issue, now the earnest money will go back to the buyer, okay? So that's how it's going to work. So prorations, you guys know, especially at the end of the year, you're going to find that a lot of sellers are going to say, well, can you pay the taxes? We are not covering taxes. Taxes are always going to be prorated. So this is just going to reiterate that. Existing finances, just making sure that if there's any existing liens or anything that is associated with the property, that the seller is going to have to cover that cost out of their proceeds. So that's just going to reiterate all that here. Inspection period, otherwise known as a feasibility study, is number 9, where we have a certain amount of time to inspect the property before we decide to commit to the property. Okay, this is really what protects us as wholesalers when it comes to getting things under contract and then being able to cancel without being penalized. So this inspection period is going to be very important for everybody to make sure they fill out. Okay. This is why this whole entire concept of wholesaling real estate in general is risk-free, is because of this inspection period. So make sure you give yourself some time to find a buyer, not only find a buyer, but have them conduct their feasibility study. So if it takes your buyer 30 days to do a feasibility study, but it takes you 3 days to find a buyer, make sure you put 45 days on the contracts for your feasibility study. Okay. Give yourself some extra time and just let the seller know, hey, we're backed up right now. We have a lot of things going on right now in the real estate space where a lot of builders are not able to be on their inspectors list right away. So this is going to take some time to have a full feasibility study or inspection done to the property. Okay. There's a lot of factors that go into an inspection on a piece of land. And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. So just make sure you educate the seller when it comes to that. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to just go ahead and protect myself and put 45 days. Okay. Especially around the holidays, give yourself some extra time. Exclusivity, the seller shall not enter into another agreement or contract to sell a property with anyone else after the contract execution date unless the contract is canceled or expired. Okay, this is really going to help protect you guys. A lot of people like to get something under contract with you, and then someone reaches out like a week later and offers a little bit more. And with that, you want to make sure that they're being obviously loyal and honest with you by not going behind your back and getting another contract, right? So this really will protect you as well. Okay, miscellaneous. Yeah, this is just mending that this property is legal binding agreements between both parties. And then any additional terms you'd like to add. Now, my mentees, I know a lot of you guys are on here. You should know that there are some very important terms that you should always have on the additional terms, which is one, the parcel ID number. The parcel ID number, you can find that on the property appraiser's website. You would just copy and paste that here. I'm going to just put a bunch of numbers for right now. It's a pretty long number, but you'll put that there. And then, of course, for your additional terms, you always want to make sure that you have this verbiage, even though it's already in the contract. We just want to make sure we are reiterating this. It's going to say buyer agrees to pay all closing costs. Oops. Hold on, let me make sure I say it the exact way. There we go. So let me make it a little smaller. Buyer agrees to cover all closing costs minus any liens or back taxes. Seller agrees, oops, typo there, agrees to transfer free and clear marketable title to buyer. Okay. So this will really just make sure we reiterate those terms. Okay. Then down here at the bottom, it's going to be a signature for the seller side. There's two sellers, you'll put both here, and then your LLC. So you'll put your signature. Let's be very clear. When it comes to a contract, make sure you put your signature. Just because it's under your LLC, you're not going to put your LLC name. You're going to put your signature. Okay. See that a lot. So then I'll print my name. Now you can put this in Adobe. I'm not Adobe. You can put this in DocuSign if you want to and not have to sign it on this platform. You could do either or, and then you'll just make sure it's dated. Okay. And that's how you fill it out. This is a 3-page vacant land contract. It's very clean, simple, and to the point. It still has the terms in here to protect both parties. And yeah, does anyone have questions about this? Go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question about this. Anything you need some clarification on? Hopefully this makes it a lot easier going forward when it comes to getting things under contract. Lanita, go ahead, love.
Yes, hi, Debbie. I'd like to know if it's possible that you can email us this completed contract as a sample, and I don't mind you putting sample on it just so I can use it as a guide.
Yeah, actually I could do that, but here, let me undo it then. Hold on one second. I might have to, I'll refill it out, and then that way you guys can know what goes there. How about that?
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. I'll put both the sample copy in the group as well as the blank copy, so you guys can use it.
Awesome. All right. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll just save this. Any other questions about the agreement? Oh, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you might have already said it. Can this be used in all states?
Yes, sir. It can be used in all 50 states. Okay, you guys can use it in any state you want.
I have one more question. If you don't have an LLC, do you just put it under your name?
Yes, so you can put it under your name. Just be mindful going forward though, Bob, whenever you are going to start closing, when you do close your first deal, definitely run and get that LLC. Because like I said, you're going to be taxed at the highest tax bracket. And you will not be having the benefits of having an LLC because you don't have that, right? So you want to make sure that you get that LLC as soon as possible so you can take advantage of the write-offs.
I actually have one. I was just asking that for other people.
Oh yeah. Yep. So you can use this with your name if you'd like, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Go ahead. Okay.
So once again, this particular contract between us and the seller. Oh, well, I thought I heard you say something about we can't use this if we're doing a transaction with a big builder.
Oh, yes.
Like DR Horton. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. So Remember, this is just going to be typically used for your, I mean, you can still use it with DR Horton ideally, but when it comes to working with like DR Horton and larger builders, they're going to
Mhm.
want to see like a vacant land contract for the state, ideally, because I've tried using a smaller contract with DR and they didn't really like that. They wanted me to get it re-signed under a FAR Florida vacant land contract. So yes, your smaller builders, your regular builders, they're fine, but I'm just gonna let you know, like the larger guys, DR, Adams Homes, like those bigger guys who do simultaneous closes, they're gonna preferably want to see a vacant land contract for the state. Anybody who does like a simultaneous, you kind of want to avoid that.
Gotcha. So if we somehow sent them this and they were like, oh no, we can't take this, it's not going to kill the deal. They'll just tell us to use the one for the state. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and going forward, and really you should know who your end buyer is ideally going to be before you lock it up anyways. So if you already have a DR Horton buyer in your area
Mhm.
that's in your market, I mean, just kind of be mindful of using that Florida or the state vacant land contract for that market, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So yeah, okay, you're welcome. I don't want to make it too complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you can use this contract regardless. Just they may say something is what I'm saying. Go ahead, Liz. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Can you now fill this out as the contract between us and the builder?
No, this is us and the seller.
Okay, so then the contract between us and the builder would be the state contract.
So that's an assignment of contract. If you're double closing,
Oh,
obviously,
yeah.
yes.
Yes. Never mind.
You're
Okay.
good. Yeah. So the
Okay.
assignment of contract is probably what you're mostly going to fill out for your builder. Now, if you're
Okay.
double closing, obviously you wouldn't use this. You'd use the vacant land contract for the state.
Right, okay,
Make
thanks.
sure I have people in the room. Okay, but yeah. You got it now, Liz?
Yeah, I do, thank you. It's
Okay, you're welcome.
Friday,
It's all
I
good.
have my wine.
It's all good. It's all good. I get it. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate the question. Okay, let's go through the questions on the chat. Can you share this complete form with us via email? Yes, I'm going to put it in the group. On number 11, there's a word incur. Is that a typo? No. So that is a word. I had to look it up too. I guess it means, I forgot what it meant, but it meant something like, I don't know. Hold on, let me look it up with you guys. Copy. Let me look it up. Yeah, because I saw that too. And I was like, what in the world is this word? It basically means hardened and custom. I'm not sure, but it's a word that he wanted to make sure was in there. So I don't really want to question my CVA. But yeah, that's a word that's supposed to be in there. Deetra, how are you, love?
Hi, good. On the contract, you have title company's name. So in North Carolina, since we deal with attorneys, would that just be our attorney name there
Yes.
and address? Okay.
Yes, and you can always edit that. So you having a PDF editor, you can go ahead and just take off that and put attorney if you want to. So all these contracts that I'm putting in there, if you have to customize it based on your state, you can just do that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.